What if there is a part of your brain that has been quietly waiting for your attention your entire life? A tiny structure hidden deep behind your eyes, smaller than a grain of rice. Yet for thousands of years, ancient civilizations treated it as something sacred. They carved its symbol into temples. They associated it with higher perception, inner vision, and the mysteries of consciousness itself. Today, modern science knows it as the pineal gland. But according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, what if this tiny gland is far more than a biological organ? What if it plays a role in experiences that feel impossible to explain? Moments when time seems to disappear. Moments when the boundaries of the self begin to dissolve. Moments when people report feeling connected to something greater than themselves. Most of us spend our lives focused on the outer world. We pay attention to what we can see, touch, measure, and control. Yet some of the most profound experiences human beings have ever described seem to emerge from somewhere within. And that raises an interesting question. What if the greatest technology you will ever encounter is not a device you can hold in your hand, but a dormant capacity already built into your own brain? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating connection between the pineal gland, consciousness, and the ideas Dr. Joe Dispenza shares about the quantum field. We'll look at both the science and the symbolism, the ancient mysteries and the modern theories. And by the end, you may begin to see yourself and your potential in a completely different way. Because perhaps the most extraordinary discovery isn't hidden somewhere out in the universe. Perhaps it's hidden within you. Welcome to Until Awakening. Today we're going to explore a question that may completely change the way you see your mind, your identity, and the invisible patterns shaping your life. If you enjoy exploring ideas about awareness, consciousness, and personal transformation, consider subscribing and joining our growing community. Now take a slow breath, because every awakening begins with a moment of awareness, a moment just like this one. Long before brain scans, neuroscience, or modern laboratories existed, human beings were already fascinated by a mysterious idea. Across different cultures, separated by vast distances and thousands of years of history, people kept returning to the same symbol: a single eye. Not the eyes that look outward at the world, but an eye that looked inward. The ancient Egyptians carved symbols into stone that many people today associate with the anatomy of the brain. In Hindu traditions, the center of intuition and inner perception became known as the third eye. Across countless spiritual teachings, there appeared a recurring belief that human beings possess a hidden capacity for perception that extends beyond ordinary sight. Why? Why would civilizations with no connection to one another repeatedly point toward the same idea? Perhaps they were all searching for answers to the same questions. Who are we beyond our thoughts? What is consciousness? And is there a deeper reality hidden beneath the surface of everyday experience? For most of human history, these questions remained mysteries. There were no scientific instruments capable of exploring the inner workings of the brain. There were only observations, symbols, and experiences that seemed difficult to explain. Yet many of these traditions pointed toward a small structure located near the center of the head, a mysterious point that eventually became associated with intuition, insight, awakening, and expanded awareness. Centuries later, science would discover that such a structure actually exists. Today, we know it as the pineal gland. Small, hidden, easy to overlook. And yet, despite its size, it has captured the attention of philosophers, mystics, scientists, and spiritual seekers for generations. Of course, ancient stories alone do not prove anything. Symbols are not evidence. Myths are not facts. But they do reveal something fascinating. Human beings have always sensed that there may be more to consciousness than we currently understand. And perhaps that is why the pineal gland continues to attract so much attention, even today. Because beneath the legends and symbolism lies a deeper question. What if this tiny structure is connected to experiences that feel larger than ordinary reality itself? To explore that possibility, we first need to understand what the pineal gland actually is, and what modern science has discovered about its remarkable role inside the human brain. Before we explore the more mysterious ideas surrounding the pineal gland, it is important to understand what modern science actually knows about it. Hidden near the center of the brain is a tiny, pine cone-shaped structure, no larger than a grain of rice. Despite its small size, the pineal gland plays a crucial role in regulating some of the most fundamental rhythms of human life. Its primary function is the production of melatonin, a hormone that helps regulate the sleep-wake cycle and synchronize the body with the natural rhythms of day and night. The pineal gland is highly sensitive to light. When darkness falls, melatonin production increases, signaling to the body that it is time to rest. When morning light enters the eyes, melatonin production decreases, helping us become alert and awake. In this way, the pineal gland acts as one of the body's natural timekeepers, quietly coordinating biological processes that influence sleep, energy levels, hormone regulation, and overall well-being. Scientists have studied the pineal gland for decades and continue to uncover new insights about its role in the brain. Yet, despite these discoveries, the gland remains somewhat mysterious. Unlike many other structures in the brain, it occupies a unique position near the center of the head, and throughout history, this location has contributed to its symbolic significance. In the 17th century, the philosopher René Descartes even referred to the pineal gland as the seat of the soul, believing it might serve as a bridge between the physical body and conscious experience. While modern neuroscience does not support that conclusion, the question of consciousness itself remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in science. How does awareness emerge from the activity of the brain? Why do subjective experiences exist at all? These questions continue to challenge researchers around the world, and it is precisely within this gap between what we know and what we do not yet understand that the pineal gland continues to inspire curiosity. Because while science can explain many of its biological functions, some believe its story may not end there. If the pineal gland is connected in some way to expanded states of awareness, the next question becomes obvious. What do those experiences actually feel like? Interestingly, people from different cultures, backgrounds, and belief systems often describe remarkably similar experiences during deep meditation, profound moments of insight, or what many would call mystical states of consciousness. They speak of a sudden sense that time has disappeared, as if the past and future have fallen away and only the present moment remains. Others describe feeling a deep connection with everything around them, a state in which the usual boundaries between themselves and the world seem to dissolve. Some report an overwhelming sense of peace, unlike anything they have experienced before, while others describe feelings of gratitude, love, and clarity so powerful that they struggle to put them into words. According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, these experiences may occur when the analytical mind becomes quiet and the brain begins operating in a more coherent state. For most of our lives, our attention is pulled outward, toward problems, responsibilities, distractions, and the endless stream of thoughts that occupy the mind. We become so identified with our routines, our worries, and our stories that we rarely notice the awareness behind them. But during deep meditation, something begins to shift. The constant internal dialogue slows down. The emotional patterns that keep us locked in survival mode lose their grip. For a brief moment, the mind becomes still enough to perceive something beyond its usual limitations. It is as though the noise of a crowded room suddenly fades away, revealing a silence that was always present beneath it. In that silence, many people report encountering a reality that feels more expansive, more connected, and more meaningful than their ordinary experience of life. Whether these states originate from changes in brain chemistry, the activation of the pineal gland, or dimensions of consciousness that science has yet to fully understand, remains a matter of debate. Yet the experiences themselves continue to be reported by countless individuals around the world. And perhaps the most fascinating aspect is that those who have experienced them often return with the same realization, that they are far more than the collection of thoughts, emotions, and identities they once believed themselves to be. If these deeper states of awareness are available to human beings, why do so few people ever experience them? According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, the answer may lie in the way most of us live our daily lives. From the moment we wake up, our attention is pulled outward. We think about our responsibilities, our deadlines, our finances, our relationships, and the countless problems demanding our attention. Our bodies become conditioned to live in a constant state of anticipation, stress, and survival. Over time, these emotions become so familiar that they begin to feel normal. We wake up thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, reacting to the same situations, and repeating the same patterns day after day. In many ways, we become trapped within a predictable cycle of mind and body. The brain is constantly analyzing the past or worrying about the future, leaving very little room for the present moment. And when the mind is filled with noise, it becomes difficult to perceive anything beyond that noise. Imagine trying to see the stars in the middle of a brightly lit city. The stars are still there, but the surrounding light prevents you from seeing them clearly. In the same way, Dr. Dispenza suggests that our deeper awareness has never disappeared. It has simply been overshadowed by the constant stimulation and emotional turbulence of modern life. Every notification, every distraction, every fear, and every repetitive thought pulls our attention further away from the present moment and deeper into the familiar patterns of survival. The challenge is not that higher states of consciousness are unavailable to us. The challenge is that most people rarely become still enough to notice them. We have mastered the art of controlling our external environment, yet many of us have never learned how to quiet the internal environment of the mind. And perhaps that is why practices such as meditation continue to attract so much interest. They offer something increasingly rare in the modern world, an opportunity to step out of the noise, withdraw attention from the endless demands of the outside world, and reconnect with the deeper intelligence that may have been there all along, waiting patiently beneath the surface of our thoughts. So how do we begin exploring these deeper levels of awareness for ourselves? According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, the journey does not start with trying to force extraordinary experiences. It begins with something much simpler, learning to become present. The first step is developing the ability to observe your thoughts without immediately becoming identified with them. Most people spend their lives reacting unconsciously to every thought, emotion, and circumstance that arises. But awareness begins the moment you become the observer rather than the reaction. Meditation is one of the most effective tools for cultivating this state because it trains the mind to move beyond the constant chatter that normally dominates attention. As you sit in stillness and repeatedly bring your focus back to the present moment, you gradually weaken the emotional patterns that keep you locked in survival mode. Over time, the body begins to relax, the mind becomes quieter, and a greater sense of coherence emerges between the brain and the heart. Dr. Dispenza often emphasizes the importance of elevated emotions such as gratitude, appreciation, love, and compassion, because these emotional states shift the body out of stress and into a more balanced and receptive condition. The goal is not to escape reality, but to experience it from a different level of consciousness. It is not about becoming someone new overnight. It is about removing the layers of conditioning that prevent you from experiencing who you truly are. Whether or not the pineal gland is the gateway that many believe it to be, the deeper message remains the same. Human beings possess far more potential than they usually express. And perhaps the most important discovery is not hidden in an ancient temple, a scientific laboratory, or a distant corner of the universe. Perhaps it is waiting within the quiet space of your own awareness. The moment you learn to become still enough to notice it, you may begin to realize that what you have been searching for was never outside of you at all. Perhaps the pineal gland is not a magical portal hidden inside the brain. Perhaps it is something even more important, a reminder. A reminder that human consciousness may be far deeper than the constant stream of thoughts that occupies our attention every day. A reminder that beneath the noise, beneath the stress, beneath the endless distractions of modern life, there is a quieter dimension of experience waiting to be discovered. Whether you view the pineal gland through the lens of science, spirituality, or simple curiosity, the invitation remains the same: to become more aware. To spend less time lost in unconscious patterns and more time present with the reality of this moment. Because the greatest mysteries may not exist somewhere far away in the universe, they may exist within the unexplored depths of your own awareness. And perhaps the journey you have been searching for is not a journey outward, but inward. Not toward becoming someone else, but toward remembering who you have been all along. If this message resonated with you, take a moment and ask yourself, how much of my life am I truly experiencing with awareness, and how much am I living on autopilot? Sometimes, a single question can open a door that has been waiting to be noticed for years. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found value in this video, please consider liking it and sharing it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And if you're interested in exploring consciousness, psychology, self-discovery, and the deeper dimensions of human potential, be sure to subscribe and join us on this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and remember, every awakening begins with a moment of awareness.